If only they had listened. The factories were silent. Banks were collapsing. Millions were unemployed. Democracy itself was trembling. The year was 19-30-something. And while politicians argued and economists defended the system, one man quietly wrote a warning that would be ignored for decades. A warning about capitalism, a warning about free markets, and a warning about what happens when society is sacrificed for profit. His name was Karl Polanyi. Karl Polanyi was born in 1886 in the Austro-Hungarian Empire into an educated, intellectual family. He lived through some of the most violent transformations in modern history: the First World War, the collapse of empires, hyperinflation, the Great Depression, and the rise of fascism. But unlike many economists of his time, Polanyi was not obsessed with equations or abstract models. He was obsessed with people. He asked a dangerous question: what if the free market isn't natural at all? That question would define his life's work. Classical economists claimed markets were natural, that humans had always traded freely, guided by self-interest. Polanyi disagreed. In his most famous book, The Great Transformation, published in 1944, he made a radical claim: free markets were not born naturally. They were forced into existence by the state. Before capitalism, economies were embedded in society. Markets served people. Under capitalism, society became embedded in markets. People were forced to serve the economy. This reversal, Polanyi argued, was catastrophic. Polanyi believed capitalism made one fatal mistake. It treated three things as commodities even though they weren't. He called them fictitious commodities. These were labor, which is just human beings, land, which is just nature, and money, which is social trust. Why were they fictitious? Because humans are not machines designed to be bought and sold. Nature is not an infinite resource to be endlessly exploited. And money is not a neutral object. It's a representation of social relationships and trust. When markets treat these essential parts of human life as mere products for sale, society breaks. And history, as Polanyi saw it, proved him right. Polanyi pointed to the gold standard as a perfect example of this destructive logic. Countries chained their economies to gold, all in the name of market discipline. Governments refused to intervene, even as unemployment exploded and people starved. Why? Because the market demanded balance. The result was mass poverty, political extremism, and social collapse. According to Polanyi, fascism did not rise in spite of free markets. It rose because of them. When people suffer for long enough, when their lives are destroyed by an abstract economic logic, they stop believing in democracy. This leads to one of Polanyi's most important ideas, the double movement. It works in two steps. Step 1. Markets expand aggressively, trying to turn everything into a commodity. Step 2. Society fights back to protect itself. Things like labor laws, environmental regulations, welfare states, and trade unions. These weren't socialist conspiracies, Polanyi argued. They were survival mechanisms. They were society's immune response. Whenever markets threaten human life and dignity, society instinctively reacts to defend itself. And if society fails to react, authoritarianism fills the vacuum. For decades, Polanyi was dismissed. After World War II, capitalism reinvented itself, seeming to heed some of these warnings. We saw the rise of welfare states, stronger regulations, and massive public investment. It looked like a compromise had been found, but in the 1980s, everything changed. Neoliberalism arrived. Markets were liberated, deregulation, privatization, attacks on unions, and wild financial speculation became the new gospel. Once again, Polanyi's warning was ignored. And once again, crises followed. In 2008, the global economy nearly collapsed. Banks gambled with money they didn't have. Governments had refused to regulate, believing the market was self-correcting. Until it wasn't. Trillions of dollars were lost. Millions lost their jobs and homes. And ordinary people paid the price for the bets of the ultra-rich. Suddenly, Karl Polanyi sounded prophetic. His central argument was proven on a global scale. Markets, when left alone, do not create stability. They create chaos. Now, this is crucial. Polanyi was not anti-market. He did not argue for abolishing markets. He argued for controlling them. He believed markets should serve society, not dominate it. Unchecked capitalism, he warned, destroys the very foundations of a healthy society, social trust, democracy, and the environment. And once these things are destroyed, they are incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to rebuild. Just look around today. Climate change, driven by the treatment of nature as a commodity. The insecurity of gig work, where labor is treated as a disposable input. Unaffordable housing crises fueled by financial speculation. Volatile financial bubbles that threaten to burst at any moment. The rise of political extremism. These are not random, unrelated failures. They are symptoms of markets expanding beyond their proper social limits. They are exactly what Polanyi predicted would happen. Karl Polanyi died in 1964. He never became a household name like Keynes or Friedman. He never ran governments or controlled central banks. But his warning remains more relevant than ever. If markets rule society, society will eventually revolt. The real question is not whether capitalism will change. It will. The question is, will we listen this time before the next collapse? If only they had listened. Please subscribe.